Professor Dr. Shrihari Honwad as the BTech from BITS Pilani. He's got his Masters and PhD from ISC Bangalore. Has been the Vice Chancellor to 3 very prestigious colleges. One is the Petroleum Management, the other one is the Goenka University, and third, that is the Padma Singhania University. And we didn't wanted to, you can say, miss this particular opportunity, and in fact, we humbly requested, and sir literally agreed to share a couple of minutes with all the eminent faculties and minorities. We welcome you, sir, on behalf of the future group of institutions, and we are delighted that all of you are appreciating you have been here and you have given impressions. Wonderful. और कोई समय ना लेते हुए सर से आग्रह करूंगा अपने मुखाबिल से 2 शब्द और अपना एक्सपोजर हम लोग को बता दें। थैंक यू वेरी मच सर। एक चीज मेरी रिक्वेस्ट है, हिंदी में तो नहीं बोलना। नहीं, हिंदी में। English is a good language for all of us. Yes, thank you. सर आप यहाँ से लेते यहाँ से। ये क्लासरूम है और अगर टीचर को इस क्लासरूम के लिए माइक पढ़नी पड़े तो 30 साल की मेरी कमाई जो है उस पे आप धब्बा लगाएंगे। आप सुन पा रहे हैं सर? एक ही मेरी रिक्वेस्ट है, मुझे नहीं पता उस तरफ के चेयर्स में कुछ अलग मालपुआ मिलने वाला है, क्योंकि यहाँ बहुत सारी सीटें खाली हैं। तो जो लास्ट बेंच पे लास्ट दो इधर आ जाएंगे तो मेरे ऊपर कृपा होगी। हालांकि मेरी आवाज वहां तक जरूर पहुंच जाएगी, लेकिन उम्र भी है और मुझे सर ने मेरी फिजिकल टेस्ट करवाई है पूरे तो उसमें से जब तक मैं सुधरूं।
ग्रेट रिक्वेस्ट sir from Pune. We have traveled from Pune to Bareilly, so we should take best benefit of sir.
जहाँ शिक्षक हैं, एक शिक्षक को आने में कोई नहीं कि आपने अपना कीमती वक्त, सबसे कीमती काम छोड़ के जो काम अभी दोबारा शुरू करने में कम से कम आधा और लगेगा हमारे इंटरेक्शन के बाद, क्योंकि जब तक वापस आएंगे खुद से मूड बनेगा। तो जो डिसरप्शन है उसके लिए मैं माफी भी चाहना चाहूँगा और जिसको आपने अलाउ किया है उसके लिए आपको धन्यवाद भी देना चाहूँगा। कुछ 3-4 चीजें थी जो हम हमेशा बात करते रहते हैं। I thought I should share with my fellow faculty members. So there is always an expectation, especially when your beard is white, they think this fellow is going to give me lots of wisdom. That's an expectation. I want you to understand that this wisdom invariably comes from the mistake this white bearded fellow has committed. So whatever I am going to share with you is not what I have been able to practice, but on the basis of what I have been able to, I have tried to practice and I have failed. This is the crux of that wisdom I want to share. I want people to understand. I also worked under a AICT institution. Unfortunately, I did not study under a typical AICT institution. I studied in BITS Pilani, so I found it very awkward that I am teaching in a class and then I have to find that somebody else who is arguably wiser than me who is going to set the question paper. So my question always has been, you chose me to teach the class. Okay? I have done the teaching of the class. I have done probably well, or I have not done well. Now when third person sets the question paper, if he sets an easier question paper, then the students will say, if this is question paper easy, why did my teacher struggle so hard? If he sets a difficult question paper, who is being punished? Me or my students? So for no fault of my students, why are we punishing my students? So that was my first suffocation with the system. I'm not saying every teacher who teaches should be allowed to set his question paper, but then there has to be a clear understanding of how this happens. We will come to that, what clear understanding can be developed. And probably some of these things are already there in place, but I want to complete the story. I will pick up and build that story. Second difficulty I have always had, I'm sure some of you feel that way already.
Yes.
Yeah. I prepare lectures, I solve so many problems. I seem to be working harder. Now, who gets the benefit of this hard work?
Student.
No, sir. If a student is sitting in a class, please. If a student is sitting in a class listening to me, he will pick up something which will last in most students half an hour after the class, till evening in some of them, a week for a handful of them. After a month, nobody remembers what happened in the class. He gets the benefit only after he goes back, reads the same point, confirms it. हमारे यहाँ आगे है श्रवण मनन, जब तक वो कीर्तन नहीं होता तब तक वो आपको आया नहीं है. That means student will only benefit from the hard work he has put in. So why am I putting in so much of hard work? Well, arguing. Luckily now this outcome-based education whole thing has come into play. We have always lived in a content-based education. Strong curriculum. Syllabus should have all points. Are you teaching this? I'm a teacher of chemical engineering, and someone was asking me, have you taught pressure absorption? Temperature absorption. No, it's the newest topic in any absorption. No, but have you taught that none of your students know this word? That has been our problem. We have been so stuck up with contents that we want to complete the syllabus. That's why we have worked very hard. And what do the students? They are very clever. Our students are very clever, no matter what. I'm sure this group was also at one time very clever students. They understood the examination system and they cracked the examination system. Our exams are based on 3-hour exams, right? Typically, in 3 hours you can ask 5 to 6, questions. I'm not saying some questions, etc., etc. You may divide, you may give some 20 marks, multiple choice or fill in the blanks kind of questions. I'm not getting into it. Typically, we can test on 6 points. That means each point half an hour. In half an hour, if it's a good question, that half an hour includes the thinking time of the student. That means students should be able to think for about 15 minutes and answer in 15 minutes. We can only ask questions which can be thought within 15 minutes and answers arrive at 15 minutes. This is the limitation which we are living with. Students have understood that. So they know what can come in the question paper. And then we have rules which say if you score whatever 40 or 50 marks, you pass. Score 50 marks, you pass. And for 50 marks, I am telling you the system is such, especially in affiliating institutions, because now this question paper is going to determine the results of, in Bombay University, there were 57 engineering colleges. This results will determine the survival of 57 engineering colleges. So percentage is something which is a political matter, which means you must maintain a healthy passing percentage. That means all of us teachers somehow work towards making sure that 50 marks everybody is able to get. Now tell me, why will a student work hard to get those 50 marks which he knows, like kind teachers are somehow or the other making, and we are in that habit. We are not able to come out of that habit. And we are stuck with contents. I will give you one small example and then we can have a few questions and you can then get rid of me. I was thinking when OB thing came and I found this very interesting example. We all teach arithmetic to our students, school children. We take that example so that it does not clash with any of our areas, pharmacy, nursing. Now, if we were to decide what is the outcome-based activity for arithmetic to be taught in schools, why are we teaching arithmetic to our children? Not because no, that's not there because hardly a few of them would go, and arithmetic is not going to take them. But we want everybody to learn arithmetic. What is the real outcome of teaching them arithmetic? Arithmetic, what do you call Anshashastra? We want to teach them counting, addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. 5 things. Why are we teaching them? I went back and I said, why are we educating our children? Yeah, a farmer's son, the remote this thing, learns what he needs to do about farming even without going to school. At that time I saw a very interesting film, I don't know if you get it. Gods Must Be Crazy. It's a comedy, black and white unfortunately. I don't know if it's easily available. YouTube it may be available somewhere. The first 3 minutes of that film give you such a fantastic philosophy. I feel every teacher should listen to that philosophy instead of studying, so many philosophies of education which we have starting from everybody and anybody has given his own philosophy starting from Aristotle too. Yeah, and of late we have broken them into the molds or Macaulay or this thing. That philosophy is a wonderful philosophy. It says it has 2 scenarios. One is the Kalahari Desert and one in Johannesburg. In Kalahari Desert, the children only need to be taught where water is available in nature and how to preserve it, how to hunt, which is a good food to be eaten, and which animal how to deal with, which happens in about 2 years. And then the fellow is an adult, he is able to live. So we teach our children because they need to navigate themselves in the complex world we have created, so we are educating. Arithmetic is absolutely essential, even if he does not study beyond whatever, when multiplication, division ends, 3rd standard or so. After that, even if he does not study, he is able to navigate, he is able to go to the market, he is able to sell something, able to buy something, and not get fooled by the society. That's what. Now, if we are to teach in a content-based, how would we teach that? We would spend time in counting. Let's say I have 50 lectures or 100 lectures, maybe spread over maybe 100 lectures. So I spend 10 lectures in teaching the child to count. It's not easy. It's instructional, right? That's my pedagogy. For a child, it has to be pedagogy. Unfortunately, pedagogy is a wrongly used word because all our students are 18 years and above. They don't go to a pediatrician, so why are we using pedagogy to teach them? I don't know. Yeah. We should tell the students, why are you learning through a pedagogy? You should insist on andragogy. Andragogy learning is very different from the pedagogy. As I said, this white beard I have earned by doing pedagogy. Those of us who have a chance to change that, I thought I will share this. We'll spend about 10 lectures in teaching them counting. Some 20 lectures we'll spend in teaching addition. Another 20 in subtraction. Another 30 lectures each in multiplication. Yeah, division. And as a teacher, I'm sure we would work very hard and give lots of assignments, solve those things in the class. Some of my students will also be bright, we will encourage them. Things we do normally. And in the exam, because it is content-based exam, I must ask 10 marks on counting, another 20 marks on addition, 20 marks on subtraction, and maybe 30 marks on multiplication and 30 marks from division. But for the student to pass, just addition and subtraction are more than sufficient. But is it sufficient for him to use this knowledge and navigate in the complex world outside? That, my friends, is the problem with content-based education. We must focus on outcome-based education. If my passing criteria is that the student is able to multiply and divide, and let me assure you, if he does not know how to add and subtract, he can't do multiply and divide. And even those add and subtraction, he may not know how to do it. I think this is an example with which all of us can relate. We'll now have to go back and translate it to what we are doing. Can we change that? Can we change my outcome definition of why am I teaching this course? Why my student is learning this course? Can I change that? I think that's the question we all need to answer for ourselves. That's the difference between outcome-based education and... Now, how am I going to teach it? Well, I still have to teach the student. Start from the counting. Maybe I will let him learn counting in a different fashion. Different way. Yeah. I'll give him some indications of counting, and I will insist that each and everything he sees in this world, he starts counting them and starts reporting. Yeah. When he goes home, ask him to start counting number of shoes, number of cupboards he has, or number of dabbas in the kitchen. Let him do it. He will learn counting on his own. I don't have to spend 10 hours in counting. That is where innovating ways of learning. And how am I going to evaluate? Am I going to give him an example? I heard this very interesting, anecdote by one of Haryana's Hasya Kavis. Not young
Gemini.
possibly
Gemini.
I think it's Gemini. It's about an interview for an inspector's position, and the interviewer asked him, 200 gram
200 gram.
सेब का क्या भाव होगा?
Yes. Gemini.
Yeah. It's a wonderful thing, but I realized it makes a lot of sense as a teacher, what am I teaching, as a question paper, what am I asking my students. That question should make sense to my student. Some of the answers he gives, आम आदमी सेब कहाँ खाता है सब, तो सेब का question आम आदमी से पूछो मत. You must recognize that. And sometimes we make those questions because we are interested in the interaction of numbers that happens. Yeah. And student is worried about the story, the plot. And we are worried about the numbers. And we think we should take the numbers, do whatever I expect it to do, and give me a number. And that number is same for all my students, and then I will give marks according to that. That's my difficulty as an examiner. The best way to examine is give each one 100 rupees, send him to the market, give him a shopping list, and ask him to show that he has done all payments correctly. And if somebody is able to get you mirchi and dhania free of charge extra, we should be willing to give him extra credit. And if that is my exam, then pedagogy also has to change and appropriately handle. Students must understand why my teacher is breaking his head over 7 plus 8, 76 plus 19. Why are we doing this? There's no motivation there. We call it active learners. These learners are passive learners. As a teacher, we continue to do what I'm trying to do now. Stand here on the podium, move my hands over beard. If the beard is not there, scratch my head on. Stage on the stage principle. And this is the word used by Westerners to, criticize this style of teaching, stage on the stage. And stage on the stage is only in India, because only in India we had stages. Even now we have a few stages. I started wondering, did our stages really, were stage on the stage and delivered, look, this is knowledge, I'm giving it to you, you take it, and tera kalyan ho jayega. Was it? Was it? How it happened? We all keep this hearing that भगवद गीता का उपदेश जो है कृष्ण भगवान ने अर्जुन को दिया था, उपदेश था वो। भगवद गीता पढ़ो तो कहीं भी श्री कृष्ण भगवान कहता है कि मैं उपदेश दे रहा हूं, तू बैठ जा, कहीं भी कहा है? अरे साहब, अर्जुन ने उनसे 100 सवाल पूछे। अर्जुन asked questions. Sri Krishna was a good teacher. He answered those questions. It was the greatest flipped classroom example I can think of. Arjuna spent his lifetime understanding everything. He learnt everything. He understood all the questions came after he understood. It's a flipped classroom. So are we willing to tell our students, tomorrow I'm going to take this, I will want you to read this chapter and come to the class. I ask the same question to students also. I'll tell you their answer later. Come to the class. If all of you have understood, and once I am convinced, I will leave the class in 10 minutes. Then you can go to the canteen, have your samosas, go wander around. No problem. Are we willing to do that as a system? Are we willing to allow that as administrators? Yeah? I think we really need to think harder. I ask the students, would you be willing to read it and come? Provided there is an incentive to it. Because students also complain to us, sir, we are not taught the real things. Why we are not taught the real things? Because we are trying to do pedagogy. There is only a limited amount of time. In that, I am spending a lot of time in instructional way of teaching. See, for a child, instructional way is good. You tell him this is A, this is A. You don't have to tell him where this A came from. And he will faithfully take it. After 8th standard, you can't teach it this. We have learned everything we can learn instructional fashion up to 8th standard. After that, everything that comes our way, our brain tries to connect it with something we know, and if the connection is not logical, we do not understand, and what we do not understand, we do not even remember it. We need to get into that mechanism. I think I have blabbered too much. I just give you one more example. This is of Jabal Upanishad. Yeah. I think the name is Satyakam. If I'm not getting the right words, it's because I'm getting old and all my gray cells, which should have been in my brain, have gone into my beard. That's how my beard has become gray. Satyakam asked Jabala. Jabala was actually a woman of, you can say, ill repute. She was a prostitute or something. He went and asked, Mother, all my friends who are playing, they are saying, my father is so and so, my grandfather is so and so. So tell me, who is my father and who is my grandfather? Which family do I belong to? Kaunsa vansh hai mera? And she very truthfully told him, I don't even know who your father is. I don't even know, as a human being, out of these 10 people or 100 people, who could even be your father. So don't ask me this question. And the fellow is, totally shattered. Who am I? What am I doing in this world? I don't belong to any of this world. Why am I here? And obviously the story goes that somebody advises him, no, you go to this Rishi, he will teach you why you are here and how you are here. And the Rishi tells him, I will teach you, no problem, but you have to first prove yourself that whether you are worthy of learning that. So he is supposed to have given him 100 cows and a bull and said, you take this to the forest, take 1 year's time, when you come back, I want to see 1,000 cows. Satyakam takes them to the forest. In the forest there are interactions. The story has interactions with the shrubs which the cows eat. The snakes which bite and the cows die. All kinds of things that happen in the forest. And he has interactions with the snake and he asks, why are you biting? I need the cow to live. He says, no, this is my nature. This is what I am going to do. After that he comes back and then the Guru is able to explain to him, you are an Atma and how you are born, through whom you are born is irrelevant because you are pure being and using that Atma. And the Upanishad is named after the mother who was very truthful, who told him. She could have always said that some king in 1,000 kilometers away is your father and satisfied herself. That is Jabal Upanishad. And what is it? An example of project-based learning. He went through that project, understood or did not understand what it is. And that experience gave him the ability to very quickly pick up why Atma is. Purpose of this anecdote is not to tell you what Atma is, but to tell you that this project-based learning, which is coming from the West, was long practiced in India. Look back, our Gurukuls had students, everybody working together, and depending on his likes, dislikes, he would be learning whatever is available in the Gurukul. And it was not as if these are my engineering students, they will learn this, these are my pharmacy students, they will learn this. No prescribed syllabus. After that, he will find the right and then he will do a vocational training. We were making good human beings first and then teaching them how they are going to make a living for themselves. Some of that we lost because fathers became selfish first. They said, no, I must give my knowledge to my son. And if the son was not interested, still the knowledge was given to him. So we lost so much of knowledge in that process. Had we given it to the Ekalavyas also, I'm sure that knowledge would have survived. And we didn't have to rediscover the correct way of creating leaders of tomorrow from the West. I rest my case. Thank you once again. And This was my piece. If you have any questions, feel free, one or two questions you can take. Otherwise, let's get back to whatever else we were doing. And also mundane it may look to you. And some of you will start doubting why we are still doing it.
Sir, as a faculty,
Yeah.
what should I do that a student can do hard work towards the study? Because if we are, they just copy to the other student if some students are doing.
Give them different tasks to each one. See, I'm going to give you answers the same way you are asking questions. You are asking a thin sliced situation for questions. Where all things have gone bad. The very first assignment he submits, and we know that he has copied. What do? Do we show that copying is bad? Ever? We accept it. Now we have only two options. Accept that it will be copied and give an assignment. In Indian Institute of Science, MTech class, the teacher had given us an assignment which was to copy such and such a section in such and such a process control book. And the section was all about conclusions he had drawn from that chapter. We were amused. You know, some of us were 30 years old, who had come through QIP for doing their masters. They said, "Arey yaar." And some of them were teachers who had come to take up their master's degrees. Those days, BTechs also were allowed to teach. They said, "No, as teachers we say, don't copy. And here is my professor asking us to copy. And if all of us copy, how is he going to differentiate between us?" We did because we had to do the assignment. Then some of us went and asked the professor, "Why do you want us to copy?" He says, "If you are an intelligent person, you will not use your brain as a Xerox machine. I wanted you to read that. If I tell you to read that, you will say, हाँ हमने पढ़ लिया. Maybe some of you will read that and will say, अच्छा ये कुछ दिया हुआ है, छोड़ दिया. That's the assignment. No? I wanted you to read that. I wanted you to think about it. I wanted you to understand it. If I ask you to copy, you will go through every line and you will think, why is this line saying so? That was my purpose, to think about some of it. So the purpose has to be changed. Assignment marks were not given because all the lines were there. Assignment marks were given because this student had gone to the textbook, read from the textbook, must have thought about the text. What was it? If the purpose of giving the assignment is faulty, then the assignments would be copied. If you don't want them to copy, then this thing is give each one of them different assignment. But then each of their assignments, see what is it that you should decide? Learning goals, learning outcomes. What was the learning goal in giving that assignment? Be very clear. If the learning goal is mundane, the work done will also be of that level. If I am particular as to what learning goal I want to achieve, I can think of how best to get it. Then I don't have to see whether that answer is 5.9 or 5.7. I want to see what thinking has gone into this. So change the way we give assignments. Give tasks. Tasks are given for a group to see how the group dynamics goes. Does everybody in the group understand that he is part of that group and he is contributing? That is to be evaluated, not what the group achieves or delivers at that level. We are unable to do that. That is why our projects are all today written outside. Ghost written and delivered. We look at the report, say a report को है 5 to pass करो. Do we know that there is a whole industry that is running which caters to this? Yeah. Engineering projects are available at one point of time they were available at 1,500 rupees a piece. Maybe today the price has gone up because of the inflation and the paying ability of students. So evaluate the project on the basis of that report. Do interim evaluations. We are talking of formative assessments and summative assessments. See, in CBSC they implement that. And how do our teachers do? For us, assessment is assessment, so it turns out to be summative. We call it formative, but it turns out to be summative. There is a very beautiful example somebody had given me about formative and summative. You have invited guests to your home. You are making soup for all of them. Formative assessment is during the cooking process, you take out a spoon and those of you who have done cooking will understand and then taste it, isn't it? That is formative assessment. Just to see whether food is. Summative assessment is guests have come, you have served the soup. The assessment that happens there, the guest will tell you whether it was good or bad or it was A grade or B grade or C grade. That is summative assessment. There is no going back from that assessment. But from formative assessment, after you have tested and you say that salt is a little less, if you have not corrected it, it's not formative assessment. If you let it go, and isn't that what happens? We conduct midterm exams, we ask for assignments. More often than not, we are not even able to give that feedback to the students that, look, you didn't understand it correctly, this is the correct way. We failed to add more salt where salt was necessary. We failed to, cook it for a longer time where it is necessary. And then we expect that in the summative assessment, everything comes out. That is what I'm questioning. I'm not questioning those individual instances. Don't try to correct that. It does not get corrected because niyati kharab hai sab.
Sir, one question.
Yes, sir.
I used to do some experiments in my class. What I have done, I regularly do it.
Yeah.
I teach my students in conceptual manner so that they can understand the concept. And what I do, I just give them an open book examination.
Yes.
With a very limited period of time, say, let's say I give them 5 questions.
Coach, just I'm just disturbing you. At least there is a hurry here to go back. I will give you the number of WhatsApp number to you. Because when the admission comes in dice, so there are thousands of questions that give born in our mind. And obviously, being as a faculty, we want the answer of everything. So I'm sorry, I'm disturbing because if the parent goes to Dr. Hemant Yadav, he has requested many times because we have been calling very eminent professors from around the country because we are upgrading to university, so we need good professors for academic council, executive council, board of studies. We need good VC, we need good vice chancellors, we need good registrar. So we are inviting eminent professors from around the place, from around the country, so that they can visit the campus, they can interact with the chairman, they can see interact with the faculty. So actually, sir, I have traveled too far from Pune. Today only he have to go back to Delhi. So just with the request of Hemant sir, we have just arranged a small, short notice, short duration, small interaction with sir, so that he should also see basically with whom he is going to interact, because not tomorrow he is going to get us straight with the future. So we will keep these questions with us and we will be in touch with sir, and sir will be regularly visiting to this place. Next time, I have requested sir to come for 3-4 days workshop. We are calling 4-5 people. They will be giving you very wonderful FDP on course curriculum, because we need a good FDP for teaching, learning, course curriculum, course outcome, program specific outcome, attainment. Because we are going to upgrade to university, obviously with these population syllabus we cannot run too far. So we have to be, our USP should be at our curriculum, our syllabus. So that will be done later on. So I just want to thank to Sir Dr. Shrihari sir, who have traveled too far on my request, and he have given his valuable time to our faculty. Or next time I would request sir, sir should come for the night stay here, and since morning to evening he should
We
have
will,
time
we will do a structure.
full day, because abhi to randomly, in a very short notice, I request us that just have a 5, 10, 15 minute interaction and you can leave for Delhi. And we are fortunate enough, sir is from IFTM Bangalore, it is one of the top institutions of the country, even IIT never have a ranking, a global ranking, and IFC always have the global ranking since from its inception. And so far research is concerned, IFC always have a benchmark for even for IITs also. सर आज आपको देख के मैं एक डॉक्टर पंकज त्रिपाठी जी हैं, he is also professor of ICSE Bangalore. I used to invite him on the regular, but in Corona he has left this place. तो वो हम चाह रहे थे कि अब ICSE Bangalore is one of the top institutions with research have a great contribution. So I will not take much of the time. I just want to give my warm regard, thanks from deep of my heart. On the behalf of faculty also, I am giving thanks to sir who have traveled too far and interacted with the faculties. I hope in coming time when we will upgrade to university, we have all learned professors, learned advisors, learned academicians who will track and track for us, who will upgrade us, who will try to excel us in each and every sphere of the activity. I just want to give thanks to Dr. Hemant on whose persuasion we have requested sir to have this program. I think it is a wonderful program. In a very short example, sir ने जो है post outcome जो बताया, program continuous learning, and a wonderful example was he has given a wonderful example. Even it has rather enriched my level of process also learning. Thanks a lot. Okay, thank you.